One really funny experience that I had, I was on the Big Island in an area for 6 months, and we covered about 25 miles from top to bottom. It was a branch, it was really open, and it had small towns every couple of miles, would have a small town here and there, and so we lived at the bottom of our area. The chapel was about 7 miles up in a small town. And our mission president, there had been a lot of car accidents in the past couple weeks, and our mission has the most number of cars and of all the missions in the world, and so he wanted to make it a point and see what would happen if we didn't drive our cars for a day. And you know, if it was good for some areas of the mission, for our area it was a little, not impossible, but it was stretching it a little bit. And so we were fine for most of the day, and then we came to the evening where we had to go help with chapel cleanup, and we had told the member, okay, we'll be there. We just gotten done with one of our lessons, and we had been trying to find a ride, trying not to use our car. And the member said, oh, I'm sorry, my wife isn't going to be coming with us, so I can't drive you. And so calling everybody, nobody's home, they're still all at work. And so my companion, I love her, we were together for 4.5 months, and so we got to know each other really well. And I really respected her, and she was about to go home, and I wanted to make the last little bit of her mission as awesome as possible. But me, I'm a very stubborn person, and she turned to me and she said, okay, Sister O, should we just pray and ask that a member will come and pick us up and just start walking? And I was like, oh no. Our car was just, a quarter of a mile away. It was just across the street. Our car was just right there at our apartment. And I was just like, oh no. But me being, I kind of humbled myself and said, all right, we'll just pray. And I'm not happy about this, but we'll just pray and then we'll walk. And so she led us in a prayer, and we started walking, and I was not having it. I was not happy with her. And, this reflects what kind of a missionary I was, but, no one's perfect. And so I said, no, okay, well, you're going to walk 20 feet in front of me, and I'm going to stay here. And the one thing about our area is that there's only one road in and one road out. It's a highway, it's a freeway. There's no traffic lights, nothing. The speed limit was about 65 miles per hour. So semi-trucks, all sorts of cars were flying down the freeway. There wasn't a sidewalk. It was just a dirt path. And so, we were just walking up, and I said, I'm not talking to you. And so we just kept walking and walking and walking, and 15 minutes went by, and 30 minutes went by. And then finally, in like about 45 minutes to an hour, I was mad, but I was more mad at the situation that we had placed ourselves in. And I knew she knew I was mad, and she was kind of doubting herself. And one thing Heavenly Father does to missionaries is that He stretches our faith until we feel like we can't stretch it anymore. And that's when He comes in and delivers the miracle. And so when we were we were only to the next town, which was about 3 miles away. And I looked up, and there was a car that just, drove off to the side, and out pops this member who lived right by where the chapel was. And she was like, what are you doing? It's the boonies. Don't you know it's not safe to be walking around? And I said, that was her idea. But we got in the car, we got the chapel cleanup. Our member was still there because he was the only one, and so we just came in and just helped out. But I just know from that, Heavenly Father, He does bless His missionaries. We just have to show our faith. And that was one thing I really had to learn, was that Heavenly Father knew better than us. And sometimes it's sometimes we just have to give in and say, you're right. And when we are obedient to what our mission president or what the Lord has asked us to do, we we will be blessed. And that's one little miracle that I saw in my mission, that I really know that Heavenly Father does love us and He cares for us. Well, okay, so tracting is one of the most, well, in my opinion, it's one of the most disliked things. I never liked tracting, but I did it because I knew we would be blessed, and I knew that was one of the, sometimes the only way to get investigators. And so I was on the Big Island again, and we were tracting, and we were just making it fun, because I was in an area that was not dead, but it was close to it. But we were trying to get things moving and going, and a lot of it, tracting was interesting because everyone was working, or they wouldn't want to talk to you. And so, sometimes we just walked around and just knocked on doors and did funny things in between. And so my companion we were really bored. And so we were walking up, there's this house, and it was on this ridiculously 45-degree angled driveway. And so we were walking up, and we were just talking, and on the sides they had these statue of Buddha, and they had a statue of like St. Peter and things like that, and it was just weird. And so my companion, just to be funny, turned to the statue of Buddha and said, "Oh, it looks like you need the gospel. When can we share it with you?" And we're walking up, and goes to the next one and says, "Oh, you need the gospel. You really need the gospel." And we walk up, and all of a sudden I don't hear her because I'm right in front of her. I don't hear her, and I turn around, and she is just dying. She's all red. And I look up, and there's this guy about the same age as us in the window, and the window had been open. And so he had heard the whole entire thing. And my companion was just dying of embarrassment. He was looking at us really, really weird. And so we had to go out and explain, like, it's all right. We get really bored when we do this, and she's not really talking to statues. We're just having some fun. And that really helped us get not an in, but it really helped get over the awkward stage. It's always awkward when we're tracting and when we're talking to people, but it really helped us go over the awkward stage and really talk to them about the gospel a little bit. And so, tracting can be boring, but it also can be fun. It's whatever way you want to make it. And so, I try to make it fun, because I'm awkward. I was awkward. I'm awkward, but knocking on doors was just not my favorite thing. And so, shake it up a little bit and make things fun, and just enjoy yourself, because that's where a lot of my funny experience came from, was from tracting in that area. I was in my last area, and I had about 3 more weeks on my mission, and I was placed in a trio with one of my companions. So I'm Chinese, and I had a white companion, and I had a Tongan companion, and so we were the most ethnic group of the mission. And so I had been with my white companion, Sister Buckner, for about, that was our 3rd transfer together. And then Sister Mwala, our Tongan companion, came in my last transfer. And so Sister Buckner and I knew each other really, really well. And we had known each other from her previous zone. And so we had known each other since the beginning of the year. And we were nearing the end of my mission, and I was tired. I was extremely tired. And really had to motivate myself to work. And we had a baptism on a Saturday, and we had gone to an investigator's house, and Sister Buckner goes into the bathroom, and she comes out, and her name tag is gone. And she looked and looked and looked and looked, and she had lost her name tag before. And we were, our Tongan companion and I, we got along really, really well, and so we were just laughing at her the whole entire time. And she had lost her name tag, and we're like, okay, it's all right. Our other companion has an extra name tag. We'll just tape your name over it. She's like, well, we have a baptism tonight, and that just looks ugly. And I was like, it's okay. We'll just do that temporarily. So we do that, and we go to our recent convert's house. And so we were going to a recent convert's house, and we were talking on the side of the road, and we're talking to him, and all of a sudden a potential investigator comes along with her dogs, and we're just talking to her, and all of a sudden Sister Buckner just yells. She just says, "What the?" And one of the dogs had peed on her foot. And my good sister Mala and I were just laughing our guts out because we think this is the most hilarious thing ever. And Sister Buckner was just like, "Oh, I can't believe this is happening." And so she loses her name tag, and then a dog pees on her foot and her skirt, and we're just laughing at her. And so we captured the moment, made sure she knew that we captured the moment. And but the baptism that night, it just worked out well. And I think Heavenly Father, he places us in frustrating but funny experiences that help us just really appreciate the good things that happen that day. And it just makes proselyting really interesting. And there's never a day that goes by that there's a funny experience that I get to share with my companions or my companion. And also, every day it's missions are really hard, but those funny experiences and those great experiences are just what makes the mission just so enjoyable, and you just forget about all the good things, all the bad things that happen, and it's just great. Mission's awesome.